Welcome to Two Guys Garage. Now today we're going to take a brand new motorcycle, a Buelle 2009, 45 miles on it. We're going to disassemble it to our own custom chopper. Yes, always on track, always on nothing, all in one show. Stay tuned. You ready, Byrd?
Hey, I'm always ready to tear apart somebody else's brand new bike. Hey, this is all about facing your fears today. You know, taking something like this, brand new, and we're gonna explode it into all these little pieces, but we're gonna let the creative juices start flowing and we're gonna build a brand new cool project with it.
This is a 2009 Buelle. This is Harley's sport bike. Recently they were discontinued, unfortunately. So we were the fortunate recipients of that. We got a great deal on this thing.
Yep.
These have 100 horse, they're 1200 cc's, great brakes, and they're a really great package to tear apart in our own creation.
And it's great because it's complete. You know, you had a working system, so you got all the ends from start to finish for that system. Now we can start deciding what we want to put on the new bike.
The new one.
Yeah. Now you've seen jigs before, you know, but here's a smaller version. Obviously a car can be pretty large project. This one might be a little less intimidating, something you might be able to do in your garage.
Yeah, we've set it up on our jig, which is a very simple process. We mocked up our engine and transmission. These are a complete unit. They're a structural member, just like they were in the original. Now we made our own neck. This will use the actual original bearings, steer tube, all the front brakes will come apart as an assembly. We're gonna use the rear brakes back here. The floating system that actually comes from the factory will bolt right in. The original axles will go in. So it's actually a very cool package where we bolt a lot of components in, and by doing that, we don't spend a whole lot of money. Yeah, we're gonna spend a lot of time on it. It took us a long time to make this thing, but we don't spend a lot of cash, and we get to make ourselves something cool.
Yeah, and you're just gonna start with a wheelbase, you know, a head tube angle, get everything laid out just right, you're gonna be well on your way.
I mean, I think we're ready to start exploding.
Grab some tools and get this thing started. You know, it's really fun actually taking apart something that's really nice and clean. And, you know, we keep discovering a lot of great technology and performance in here. You know, these guys have, you know, a fully adjustable ride height. You know, they've got a remote reservoir on the rear shock, compression, rebound, damping control. Really kind of trick. You know, if we pull this airbox unit up here, we can see down our bell mouth into the throttle. And, you know, it's actually got some technology in the exhaust. This little motor right here will drive this cable, and down in the exhaust, sort of a tri-chamber for tuning the exhaust by electronics.
Yeah, we'll be able to see that once we pull the muffler too. You'll be able to kind of see how that thing works. Now, if you can help me up here on the front, we're gonna pull this front guy off. Turn that thing to the right a little bit, and I can probably reach the bolt now. Get it out. Okay. All right, now look at that. That sucker weighs like 20 pounds.
Yeah.
And that's 20 pounds that we're not gonna have on our bike, and a big pile of wires that aren't gonna be on it either. This will be a 5-wire system, very simple. So, I mean, what are we into, like 30 minutes or something? We're getting there.
I actually like this naked look, man. I think I could almost mount a seat right here and zoom, zoom.
All right, there we go. Okay, I want to show you a couple things here in the back. Now, underneath the spring, there's a fan. And the reason there's a fan is because the rear cylinder is tucked right inside of this frame. And unusual to the Buelle, the frame is actually the gas tank. It's an aluminum gas tank. Right next to it, you've got your O2 sensor where the computer reads that. And your fuel pump is right here into the back. So your fuel pump is inside of that. Pretty cool. Reason being, they're trying to keep their center of gravity and center of weight low and tight to the bike.
Yeah, and considering, you know, your crotch is right about here, it's probably a good thing they put that fan there. So I got about this triple tree just about ready to come apart. We're gonna try to pull this whole front end off as an assembly. And what's really cool about this bike is this is about as trick as you're gonna get for a front suspension and brake setup. Now in the old days, they used to take this slider tube and it would be the other way around. So this is sort of an inverted Ford. If you got brake loads on your tire, you're going to get a big bending right here. If you take this diameter, which is bigger than this diameter, you get a lot more stiffness in your front end. Now this brake, this is pretty cool too. Now this is a fixed caliper. It's actually 8 pistons, but this caliper doesn't slide like it does on a normal car. It's fixed onto this hub. This rotor is now floating. These bolts, they don't bolt the rotor on. They just capture it. You can see here, this rotor is free to float. There's sort of a fork there. So that lets the caliper be fixed, and the rotor can find the center between those pads. You don't get that shimmy while you're doing some performance braking.
Yeah,
pretty cool setup to put on that.
Yeah, there's a little mini spring down inside. And the old one had a 6 caliper, and you can really tell the difference between the 6 to the 8. This one is much more smooth, a really nice setup. So
yeah, hang on so you don't go over the handlebars.
Yeah, I think at that point, ready to go. We got to take a break right now. We'll be back, and we'll have this baby ready to go on to our frames, so stay tuned.
I frequently take my truck off-road where it gets muddy and scratched. Is there an easy way to clean it up and protect the finish? When you have a tough-duty vehicle for either work or play, you need to clean the mud and debris off the paint and restore the scratches, swirl marks, and paint abrasives underneath. 3M's One-Step Cleaner Wax gets both jobs done quickly and effectively. It cleans and protects, removes most fine scratches, light oxidation, and swirl marks, and leaves a deep, rich luster and a durable waxed finish behind. This tip is brought to you by 3M Car Care, performance-driven solutions. This segment of Two Guys Garage is brought to you by iBrakeParts.com. For all of your braking needs, look to iBrakeParts.com, your online stopping destination.
Our skeleton over here is about to get some new parts. We've just about dismembered our carcass over here.
I think we did a pretty good job. We got the front end off. Now we're going to put this onto our new frame, but it's going to stay intact. The brakes are there. They're still bled. We didn't even have to pull the hoses, so that's nice. Now we're ready to pull the frame, and I'll keep kind of hold of the motor if you want.
Last mount over there?
Yeah. That one's out. And if we're lucky, we got everything. Yes, and it's off. The gas tank / frame is gone. This is your fuel injection module. We're going to get rid of that whole setup. We're going to change it into a carb. Now you can see our exhaust. We'll be able to reach that, get that out of the way, strip a few more items. At that point, we're ready to get into our new custom frame. Okay, we got our new motor in. We got that set into our frame jig. Now we're switching this thing from belt to chain, twofold. One, because I think it looks cooler.
Yeah.
2,
sometimes, you know, chain's going to be less package space, so depending on your vehicle build, it might dictate it.
Yep, we changed our wheelbase, so that's different. So that allows us to have some adjustment as far as changing our chain length. So that's set up and ready. Now the one nut, we got this one nut left, and this is the big boogaboo in the whole process. This thing is not cool. So we're going to use a torch to heat that up and get it off. It's a reverse thread, and we've got a special tool here.
Yeah, you know, you can buy a specialty tool if you're going to use it once, but you know, sometimes you can just go and make your own tool. So here's one made out of a series of plate welded together, and you know, we've got one here to drive the axle in. So a couple of homemade tools get you through the job.
Yep. All right, well, let's go ahead and start heating this thing. And we're going to heat the outside of the nut. Now, this is not the right tool for this. Unfortunately, our 1/0 tip that we would normally use for this, get that nut ready, someone decided to borrow it without returning, and we didn't find out until just now. So we'll hope that this goes good. Okay, we got ourselves back together here. We got our sprocket on, that's ready for chain. And we stuck our backbone on there, that's looking pretty good. We're just kind of getting all the bolts snug together. And Byrd's got the intake up front.
Yeah, so we're going to get rid of our EFI system. We've got a little homemade custom intake. We're going to go old school with the carburetor. It's going to look real cool.
And these are great because they're a 5-wire system, super simple. Right in here is where your trigger will be, and it'll signal to the rear cylinder, it'll signal to the front cylinder coming off of the coil. That's 2, and it's got a headlight, a tail light, and basically a run function or a start function. That's it. I mean, it's basically a glorified lawnmower with a headlight and a tail light.
To put it mildly.
Right, done. And that's all the wiring, so.
Well, hey, I'm going to go answer some of our good viewer emails.
It's about time.
Be all right over here? Hey, welcome to this week's Ask the Host. This one's from Jessica M. It's all about tires. What's the proper way to fix a tire? And if I'm stranded somewhere, can I use one of the emergency tire repair kits to get me home? And will it hurt the tire so that I can't actually get it fixed, when I get to the service station? Well, that's a great question, and we hear that a lot. Now, as far as fixing tires, we used to do it with plugs. Now, plug, you kind of ream, with a tool, get the hole the right size, drop a plug in, pull your tool out, and you could snip it off. I've actually got an old one here on this tire that you can see, where it's kind of left the remnants of the plug in there. Tire manufacturers have shied away from that, and they've got a safer method. It's a plug patch. What they'll do is it kind of uses the same sort of plug that pulls out of your tire, but the inside uses a patch. You've got vulcanizing compound, make sure the two seal together real tight. Then you can cut the plug off, make sure you don't get water and moisture in those steel belts, kind of rot and corrode them from the inside. So that's the proper way to do it, but you're going to have to dismount the tire and take it to the station. Well, with that being said, when you do get stranded somewhere, there are products out there that you can use. Now here's a great product from Fix-A-Flat. Now it's water-based. It's not going to ruin your pressure sensors if you've got pressure monitoring on your newer car, and it's not flammable, so it's not going to be dangerous. And what's nice about it being water-based, it's actually very easy to clean. I'll show you how it works. I went ahead, I've screwed on a valve stem just like you'd have on your car. You shake the product up real well, and you want to use the whole can. I'm just going to show you enough, but you can see I've got this foam base, and once you've emptied out the whole can, you want to go for a dry. Make sure it gets all around inside that tire so it gets to the right spot where you've got your leak. Now you can get to where you can fill up your tire with more air and get to a station where you can get it fixed. Now what's great, after you've let this sit for a little while, pretty much just looks like this. Nice little, water-based, milky-looking substance. You break the tire off, you pour that out, and, it's a pretty quick cleanup. Pretty simple. Now you can go in there and put that patch in there. So, I hope that answered your question. Keep safe, keep something like this in your trunk in case you get into a bad situation. You guys keep writing in and we'll keep answering your questions. Hey, welcome back. As you can see, we've got our chain installed. What we've done is actually started with a longer chain than we needed and cut it to length. Now, if we start with a chain, we can take this squashed end of the link or the pin, cut it off with a die grinder, cut-off wheel, pop the link out. Now we can put the two halves together, and if you roll that split line over here, that sprocket will hold this chain length and this chain length. You can throw your master link in here,
Yeah, that's a good tip for you.
Place.
Now this thing looks like a soft tail because of this pivot. It's really a hard tail. What we use the pivot for is to tighten the chain. So we're going to put some shims up front as we raise this rear, which actually, Byrd, if you can get up there and start putting that shim in, we'll raise the rear. Now you see how I tighten it? Now loosen, raise it, that tightens it. So it'll raise it up. Now Byrd, if you can get in there and put that little shim in.
Yeah, so we've got, standard kind of U-shaped shims.
Put it in from the top.
And I can rotate it around.
This I can probably take an 8.
Let's see. Slide that guy in and around.
Perfect. So we'll get these tightened up and then we'll be off to the next mission. Okay, I think I about got that top bearing set. That looks really nice. Now our machinist did a really beautiful job because this has to be super tight tolerance there. And then we got a really tight tolerance that we have to have. These are factory bearings that we just pulled out of the original bike. And they slipped right in perfectly. So now I think we're ready for that front end.
Ready to wrestle a little bit here?
Yeah. Oh,
right.
let me get that for you.
Pull this triple crown off.
Okay, get that. Maybe.
There we go.
Slide her in there.
Easy.
Okay. All right. Now if you can slip yours back on the top.
Yeah, so put the triple crown on. And I can take this axle nut here.
That's your preload.
Yep.
So we'll get a little bit of tension on it. And then there's some clamps that'll actually clamp on the neck here. That'll keep it from moving. And there's another clamp here that'll keep that part. And we can actually use these bars if we want. Front brakes already installed. So original clutch will work. And we're ready to rock, start moving on to some other stuff.
Starting to look like a real bike.
Yeah.
So we can get it on the ground.
I store my classic car for the winter. Is there anything I can do to protect the engine? We'll have the answer after the break. I store my classic car for the winter. Is there anything I can do to protect the engine? One way to protect that classic car is by changing the engine oil. After the oil change is complete, add 12 ounces of Z-Max and warm up your engine for about 10 to 15 minutes. Z-Max goes after the carbon and deposit buildup, helping you extend your engine life. Make sure you drive for 15 minutes before putting the car in storage to help Z-Max circulate through the engine. This tip is brought to you by Z-Max. Performance you can feel.
It's like being at the drag strip, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, there's nothing like doing that and then doing a first to third, overexcited shift. You just beat your guy off the line and then you just fudged it all
Not
up.
with this baby.
Yeah, this is their Stealth Series Pro Ratchet from B&M Racing. It's a cool shifter. It's a ratchet style, so you're only going to pop one gear at a time. You're never going to overshift, go first to third, or maybe pop into neutral, scatter an engine across the track. Or even on a downshift, you're sport driving, you go from third to first by accident.
This is legal for almost all drag race sanctioning bodies.
Yeah, your NHRA, IHRA, your PSCA and your FSC. You're totally covered. You got reverse and forward, transmission styles, 2, 3, and 4 speeds.
Yep, so if you're doing some drag racing, B&M Pro Ratchet Stealth.
And it looks awesome.
That's your baby right
Yeah.
there. All right, next thing we got up is from Stage 8 Locking Fasteners. Now these are made in USA. They're all made out of super high quality grade 8.
Yeah, and you can even get them in stainless too, because on your exhaust system you got a lot of heat, tend to break down your fasteners, you get rusty looking stuff. But they're great. These guys are always coming up with a better way to lock your parts on and make sure they stay that way. It's awesome.
This is a collector bolt, so you've got the 3 collector bolts coming out of your header that go right into your exhaust. They get hot and cold, and in those cycles they really want to work loose.
Yeah.
And using a locking fastener like this, especially on an application like a collector, is really a smart idea.
Yeah, guys always over tighten them. You squash that gasket and squeezes out and you're done.
So be sure you check out Stage 8's website. They have all kinds of different fasteners, no matter what your application is.
Yeah. Now next up from LMC Truck, we've got a great lineup of truck covers.
Yeah, these are universal covers that slip fit on any truck.
Yeah. And there's nothing like put a lot of sweat equity into getting your truck looking all nice and polished and waxed up. And you go out in the morning and there's like these little dirty paw prints from a cat that just climbed over. You got the Byrd flock going by and dropping bombs on you.
Awesome. Washing your truck every weekend, it's great. So they've got 3 different levels. They've got from really breathable to high weather conditions.
Yeah, they got a 1000 series. It's a single layer, real lightweight unit. They've got their 3000 series, which is 3 layers of protection, and the 4000. The 4000 is the Mac Daddy with the fleece line. Take care of your little ride.
Yeah. So go to LMC Truck, check out their website. They give you a free catalog. They have all kinds of different Dodge, GMC, Ford from 47 up for a lot of applications. So be sure you get one of those.
Yeah, check these guys out.
All right, next we got up is from Oil Dry. This is Garage Guard.
This is my kind of product because I am always making a mess.
Dude, I'm way more messy than you are. Let's say you're in your shop and you, oh no, look what I did.
Now that's pretty much a daily occurrence, right?
Right.
We haven't even got to the oily part, just the coffee.
Now, cool thing about these, you can pick these up at almost any retailer. You
Yeah.
put it down, let's say you're gonna do a transmission oil change, you're gonna work on your bike, any kind of stuff like that where you know you're gonna be messy. And you look underneath, and this bottom is oil resistant, not gonna let anything get through.
Yeah.
So really easy to clean. This is all polypropylene fibers.
Yeah, it's great because you can cut it in any size and shape. Whether you want to put it in your toolbox, set your tools in. I'll throw it by the door for snow boots, wet ski equipment or a snowboard. And I even throw it in the back of my trunk for, when I have my dirty mountain bike, I can throw it in there and not ruin the back of my, trunk or back of my SUV.
Yeah, and these come in the 10-inch section, so you can just rip out a little shot really fast and easy, as you can see. So that's a cool product. From Oil Dry, that's Garage Guard. Check out their website, see more cool products. All right, we're out of time. We got to roll.
Okay,
Back to work.
back to making messes.
For more information about anything you've seen on today's show, check out speedtv.com or visit TwoGuysGarage.com.
Okay, cool.
Perfect.
That looks good.
Hey, welcome back. One of the last things we've got to do before putting this on the ground is put a steering stop on. You can see we'll stop right on this side, right on that side. If not, this thing will flip over and flop on the ground like a dead fish.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe, even just pushing it around, it's a real pain in the butt without one of these on. All we did was take a 1/2 inch solid, cut it, put it in, and that's the same width as the stock, so we knew that that'll work, and this thing's looking pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have a roller here in no time.
Now we took the kickstand, we cut that down, it's actually bolted onto the original location, so we didn't even have to take it off. This bike will be lower than the original. Knock that, let's do it, ready to rock. Well, what do you think, Byrd? Fuel or 4?
Yeah, that's a nice, sweet payoff for a little bit of work, a little elbow grease.
That's fun, isn't it? Totally tearing apart a brand new bike.
Yeah, you know what, man? I think I'm feeling just about right on this.
Looks good
bike.
on you.
Yeah.
Now you'll get a little bit more butt room once we put the seat in. That'll raise you. We'll put kind of a mountain bike shock on it, give you a little suspension.
Cool. Now you're gonna put the crotch cooler fan back on?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you always need the crotch cooler fan. Now look at all the frame that we got rid of. Imagine the heat that we're just gonna pull out. We don't need the oil cooler anymore. You don't need the fan. So, I mean, we saved a lot of weight.
Yeah,
we got a lot
this
more of a
thing is
simple bike.
Very nimble.
Yeah. And I mean, look at all the stuff we've got. I mean, look at that. Can you believe that all came off of this bike?
Yeah, that's a whole lot of eBay action right there. Start paying you back for some of your
Man, it's
investments.
crazy.
Yeah.
So now all we got left, get the battery mounted, we get our controls on, do the tank, and do a headlight and a tail light,
Little fender.
rear fender.
Paint.
Yeah, and we're good to go. So, I mean, for half a day's work,
Yeah.
that's pretty rocking.
You know, what do you got? At the end of the day, it's just, you know, a couple tubes, some bending, a little TIG welding, good fun project.
I like it. All right, my turn. Time
All
to go.
right.
I think we're out of time, aren't we?
Yep,
Time
we'll
to
see
go.
you guys next time.
Adios. I'm ready.